Batman Santa Claus Silent Night Returns issue 3. Jeff Parker writing with Lucas Kettner and Michelle Bandini on the art. So yeah, like I said earlier, I know I'm not going to have time to read this the next 2 weeks, so I didn't bother reading it this week either. So, but Matt did read it still, so you can chime in.
I'm a mark for Santa and Santa lore, so here we go. This picks up where we left off at with the Hollow Man, the Hollow Knight, the Silent Knight, attacking Santa. He had just taken Jason Blood, and Flash runs in, and he's like, "Oh, I can handle this guy because I've been phasing and teleporting since I was a kid." And as he's trying to run circles around the Silent Knight, Flash gets drained. He gets the mark put on him, but the Knight draws all of his energy, and now instead of just being a hollow shell of a suit of armor, it's now has a skeleton, right? And so everyone starts freaking out because now Flash is in that kind of mummy mode that we've seen. So Zatanna puts like this amber casing around him, and Felix Faust is like, "Oh wow, are you making a paperweight or a present?" Right? And so they end up banning Faust now for this. Kind of his lack of respect for what looks like the death of the Flash. They ban him from this manor for 10 years. And Robin tries to question some of these, zombies, and Gentleman Ghost steps in and is like, "Hey, yeah, it doesn't work like that. You're not dealing with a ghost, you're dealing with the undead. I know they seem the same, but they're very different. You have to look at this how a ghost would see it, not a zombie." And Zatanna starts wondering why Gentleman Ghost would volunteer to help. And he's like, "Look, we all know that Hawkman's my longtime enemy. This is a version of him, and with how Hawkman's spirit works being reincarnated, it's almost as if this thing is lacking a soul. And if that's the case, there's going to be a way to go about it. I know a thing or two about that, being a ghost. But also I get to take out a piece of Hawkman while I'm at it. It's just a benefit." So Zatanna, knowing this now that they're going to need people that the Knight can't really affect, sends out these spells that she's been working on, and she sells it to Damian like, "These are taking a while. This is kind of our last hurrah," and she unleashes them from her hat, and they take the form of these doves. While the doves go off to find the heroes, that we're gonna need, we go back into the Hollow Kingdom, and our Justice League that's in there has been fighting the undead armies, and Bruce has to keep telling Superman to stop, because the more power he expends, the more power the Knight's going to take from him, right? And they don't know yet that he's been made a skeleton, right? Like, he's gaining more and more power. John Stewart's, he depletes his energy. It's been 24 hours. So the protective dome he has over them collapses. Nubia helps out Thunderheart and basically shows, like, if they fight using, like, their weapons and not their raw power, then they won't be drained. So her being able to fire these arrows at these trolls and whatnot, she says this is a skill, not a power. And then Mara, who hasn't been marked, is able to manipulate the water vapor to blind and kind of disguise their exit from the trolls and the other elements. And then that's when the Knight shows back up. And as the Knight is showing up, Santa has followed him through when he disappeared, when he was fighting Zatanna and them. He's followed him through to this realm. And before he can mark Batman, Santa takes him to the ground. Before he had jumped into the portal, Santa had said, "Find Eula. That'll be the help." So as Zatanna and Damian and all the other magicians are waiting for Zatanna's spells to come back, Damian goes to talk to the tree, because that's how Santa's told him how to get into contact. So he runs over there and is like, Santa said, "Eula, he needs your help." They're like, this kid's talking to a tree. Like, we do magic, but even this is a bit too far. And despite all of that, the doves come back, and the three heroes that it brings that, you know, can't be touched by the Silent Knight is Robot Man from the Doom Patrol, Metamorpho, and Mary Marvel. And, you know, each of them have their own reasons, I'm sure, that we'll get to why they can't be affected. But like Metamorpho is like, hey, I've been, you know, kicking ancient, you know, monsters forever. Robot Man is like, well, we've been chasing this case all week as the Doom Patrol. And Mary's like, well, you know, I had to dump out on a date, but if you need my help, I'm here. They bring out Jason Blood in that protective amber that they put, you know, Flash in as well. And the two is, I think, Dr. Mist and the other Baron. So essentially not Doctor Strange. They're like, you know, we can feel the spell coming through Jason Blood. We need to get him out. And despite being in this form, Jason Blood is still able to get his you know, changing words out. And so he starts, you know, gone the form of man, rise the demon, and Etrigan busts out of the amber. And essentially he's here now to help because no one messes with Jason Blood but Etrigan. And if this thing is, you know, whatever the Silent Knight is, it didn't get, you know, Etrigan's permission to do all this stuff. As they're rounding up all of these undead zombies that are still attacking the manor, this portal opens, and they worry it could be the night. So Etrigan gets ready to fight, but Damien stops him and is like, no, this is how Santa travels. And out through the portal steps Mrs. Claus, who turns out to be Eula, who is she's called Eula of the Holder folk. And she asks where her husband is. And it's not Mrs. Claus as we know her. She is a light elf from Asgardian mythology. And she's got a spear. She stabs through the zombie. And I did a bit of searching because I've never heard of the Holder folk. Come to find out, the Holder folk are the wild spirits of the Norse, right? So these are kind of the forest spirits that lived amongst Midgard. So while she looks like an elf, she's almost like, you've heard of like the dyads and the naiads of Greek mythology, the kind of the nature spirits that, you know, are responsible for the rain and the storms and this, that, and the other. This is the Norse version of that. So Santa bagged himself this nature spirit, and she's come out to help, which was a really, really fun turn in this story. We're getting the full group of the Santa characters. So yeah, a lot of fun on a busier week. You know, I'm still excited to see where this is going because, again, I love the Santa lore, and the fact that Jeff Parker's mixing in the kind of the northern legends into this. Again, just like he did with the Krampus, you know, we're playing with Christmas mythos and bringing it into superheroes. Is always something I'm going to be a fan of. And then introducing Etrigan into this, and we're almost forming almost like a shadow pact here of these characters. You have Gentleman Ghost, Damien, Zatanna. Now you have Ula, right? In order to save our other heroes who Santa's with now. Also, when Santa shows up, I forgot until just now, Clark gets very excited that it's Santa. So again, keeping that from the first series, that Clark is really into Santa Claus. The art here is by Lukas Ketner and Michelle Bandini. It's balanced really well. You can't really tell where, you know, one artist is to the other. But the art's kind of just that DC house style as we've seen. So, you know, points away for that. But yeah, whole lot of fun. This issue is specifically called We Three Kings, you know, based off of the Christmas song. But yeah, I'll give this a 7.5.